All right, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Product School webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. So just in case you didn't know, the Product School offers product management certificates online and at our 20 campuses worldwide. On top of that, every week we offer some of the amazing local product management events and host online webinars, live streams, and Ask Me Anything sessions. Head on over to productschool.com after this webinar to check them out. Today we have an amazing guest presenting with us. I'd like to introduce you all to Rich Sanchez. Hello, Rich. Thanks for being here with us today.
Hi, thank you.
All right, so Rich is a data fluent and user-centered product leader with experience conceptualizing, building, managing, delivering, and supporting high-quality experiences. Today, as a manager of product at InStride, he leads the company's efforts to reinvent the education of today's workforce. Prior to his current position, Rich spent over 3 years at the Walt Disney Company, progressively attaining different product managerial roles. He successfully led cross-functional teams of product managers, designers, and engineers towards the vision of scaling exceptional, consistent, and convenient service to all Disney parks and resorts guests. So feel free to leave any questions that you have for Rich in the comments, and towards the end, we'll address them all. So without further ado, let's all welcome Rich. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who attended or who has joined to listen to my webinar or my talk. So I'm going to share my screen to get started. And I believe we have 5 minutes at the end for questions. So I'm going to run through as much as I can. I'm going to keep a close eye on the time. But ultimately, I do want to get some of those questions. I love being very interactive. Unfortunately, this format doesn't allow me to do that. So please keep those questions to the end, and I'll be happy to answer. So to begin, I want to share a quick quote that I love from a person who has the last name Quick and his first name Jim, so Jim Quick. And this quote says, "If knowledge is power, then learning is your superpower." And I truly believe that this is true in anything that we do, even as product managers, developers, designers, whatever field that you are in. I totally believe that this is true, that learning is your superpower. And so in this talk, I'm going to share a few things that I have learned throughout my career, and how you can take those learnings and create your own superpowers for yourself. All right. So let's get started. All right, so normally when I do these talks, I love to share this video, but I'm not going to do that because it's, you can't really get the quality the same, but I want to share still what it is. So this is the video of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where Miles Morales, if for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'm sorry if I'm going to spoil it, but it is a moment in the movie that I think really encapsulates what I'm going to try to convey. But it's basically a moment where he realizes his true superpowers, that he is a Spider-Man, right? And so I believe that all of us have this innate superhero self. It's just waiting for us to be for it to be unlocked and untapped, right? And so what I'm going to walk you through are some of those lessons and some of the keys in how to unlock that. To begin, like many superheroes in the beginning, before they realize their superpowers, we kind of have this moment, this feeling of not knowing, how to take advantage of them or how to actually utilize this. And I love this scene from the movie where Miles is realizing he has superpowers, but he just doesn't know how to control them. He doesn't know how to, actually utilize them, right? So how do we get over this fear, this doubt, this confusion that we all, as either product managers or aspiring product managers, or just anyone who's looking to, advance their career, how do we overcome this? Again, going back to learning is your superpower, right? Because that, I believe, is the way to do that. But in order, the first key, the first lesson I really believe that will help with this is discovering your origin story, right? So like any great superhero, there is always an origin story to that individual. And I believe that when you know yourself, you are more confident and you are able to believe in yourself a lot more, right? knowing your origin story is actually really important as well, because it helps with getting a new job, negotiating, pitching your idea to potential investors, right? Because what you're essentially doing is you're conveying a story, something to someone, an audience that will eventually have either that person interested or not, right? So how do you discover your origin story? Well, I believe there's three things. Number one is you have to embrace your past, right? So you're saying to yourself, Rich, how do I embrace my past? What does this really mean? Well, one of the things that I've did when I was actually on my pursuit towards product management was I put together a timeline of all of the significant moments in my life, both from a technology standpoint, from a design standpoint. And this was back when I was actually working at Johnson and Johnson, still figuring out where I wanted to be. I was actually working in IT. And one of the things that I realized that was that through mentorship was that people had told me, you have to know yourself, know your story, because when you go and talk to these people, these other potential companies that you're maybe interested in, you have to convince them, you have to tell a story, convincing story. And so what I did actually was I put together this quick timeline, right, of a few, even going back to when I was 8 years old, to really highlight, how I am different from everyone else. Because during that time, I was actually trying to apply for many different types of product manager roles, but I just couldn't get in. I was typecasted as this IT guy, with not a lot of experience. So I had to really convince people that I knew what I was able to do. And so having a story or a quick, timeline of certain things from my past helped to convey that I have both the technology and the creative side. So that's number one, try to have your own. Number two, you can do this. It doesn't have to be creative, nice and visual. You can have a text version. All of the slides that I have here at the end, I'm going to share it so that way you have these actual templates that you can use for yourself. But I believe even just starting off with the text format, looking at your different moments in your life, and kind of just documenting some of those challenges, some of those wins, and failures, and everything, because it really conveys and helps you to articulate exactly what challenges you have overcome. Another great tool I like to use is time graphics. This is a great way to actually keep a timeline of everything that you just done. So let's say you don't want to use, the creative visual of using Photoshop, you can still do something and share it with people. So that's embracing your past. The next is reviewing your present. I always believe that when we start off to any kind of journey, I think it's important to understand our present state, right? And so a couple of the recommended sources that I use are things like, what is your understanding your personality, right? So taking some personality assessments, also on assessing how much time you spend on certain things, and actually identifying how much your time is worth. It's actually pretty crazy to think that we're spending a lot of time on things that actually have less value to us. We should all be thinking that time is the most important asset that we have, right? Actually more important than money. And so how do we get started? Well, like I mentioned, one of the ones that I like to use is just an assessment standpoint is 16 personalities. If you don't know your personality type, I highly recommend you try this, so that way you get to know yourself. For myself, I am considered, based on my results, an assertive campaigner, based off based off all the things that I've done in my time. I think the real value though comes when you know yourself and others, when you can look at someone and you can actually say, oh, they are this type of person. So I highly recommend that you actually read through all of the different personality types and try to identify some of your colleagues or your friends and see what they are, because that way you know how to better communicate with that individual. Another great resource that I use to really assess yourself is this app. It's called Superpowers by SY Partners. And I know it costs $3. but really consider it as an investment in yourself, right? This is about the same as a a cup of coffee. But what I love about this app is that it actually same kind of thing. You answer a couple questions and it identifies what your superpower is, and you have no idea how empowering it is to know or to align and to see these superpowers and really believe them, because then you go off and you have this different mindset. So for myself, my superpowers are ingenuity and empathy. And so by knowing this, I know how I can be better at those. What I love about the app as well is that it shows you the dark side of these superpowers, because there are other things when you're highly one thing, you do lose on others. And so knowing the dark side or the things you have to work on for that superpower is also very important. Another great resource that I want to recommend is called Matter app actually. And so this one is a free solution. It actually takes about 5 minutes to complete. And this is actually one of those experiences that from a product standpoint, I truly love as a product manager, because it just gets the job done. It's actually focuses on getting information from your peers and having them give you the feedback, right? Because most of the time we do assessments and it's ourselves, but it's how great would it be to be able to get that assessment from others. And so they provide you a really nice way, and also a way to check in on how to improve certain areas. So I want to improve in my presentation skills, so I have an accountability partner now who I can check in, and they can give me some of those critiques. So another great resource. James Clear, he has this article that talks about the value of time. I highly recommend you read this. Long story short with it is basically there is a spreadsheet that you should definitely fill out, and it helps you to identify how much is your time worth, right? So many times we actually spend time, countless amount of time on something that doesn't have a high return on the investment. And so knowing what is your time worth will give you more flexibility and give you more of a way to focus on the things that are important to you, that will help you or advance you, right? So an example of this is, let's say you're trying to get a job, but you want to I don't know, you're trying to move jobs, and you know that it probably costs less to have someone else help you or coach you than it would be for you to spend the time to figure out the things like that, right? So just knowing that is really important. All right, the third key is to write your future. Now, when I say write your future, I really mean write your future. When I was at J&J, and every company that I've joined, even at Disney, actually, this is more better suited. The story is better suited for Disney. So when I started Disney, I started with the 30-60-90-day plan. If you guys don't know what that is, highly recommend you look that up. But basically what it is a plan of what you will accomplish or what you plan to achieve in those days, right, leading up to after you start. And so when I started Disney, I wrote down in my 30-60-90-day plan, all the things I wanted to achieve. I started off as a product manager, right, kind of at the beginning of the career, if you will. And I wrote on there that I wanted to be a manager. I don't know how I was going to do it, but I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in 3 years. And so, I kind of, as time goes by, I start thinking about how I can do this, how I can achieve this. And lo and behold, I was presented an opportunity to be a manager in 2.5 years, right? So actually writing the things down puts yourself in a vibrational frequency that the future reality will happen. It will actually come true. Now you have to put steps and actions towards it, but having that written down kind of holds you accountable. I actually have a really cool template that I will share with you all, which is a way to actually create your own written future by specific focus areas, right? Because I think all of us, even if we're trying to advance our career, I think we all have responsibility to ourselves to live great and amazing lives in other areas, like with our family, with our friends. Maybe you want to be an actual thought leader or figurehead, right? So setting actual goals towards that, and having a framework of how do you achieve, or how do you set a 10-year vision for yourself, right? Holds you accountable for something, and also is kind of the thing that you remember. You keep reminding yourself, oh, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to accomplish, right? So again, I'll be sharing that with you guys. That's discovering your origin story. Now, I'm gonna run through, because we have a little bit of time, so I'm gonna run through the last bit. But the last bits talk about strengthening your mind. So I really love this quote, because it's also encapsulates what strengthening your mind really means to me, which is, I'll read the quote. I never lose. This is a quote, Nelson Mandela, right? I never lose. I either win or I learn, right? And that mindset shift is really important when anything you do, right? So how do you do this? How can this be achieved? Well, I like to think that you have to have a commitment to a plan. I'm going to share this as well. Having almost like a roadmap for your life is also really important. So in this roadmap, you kind of have by month all the different things you want to achieve, right? And milestones, similar to a product. When you're actually setting a vision for a product, you set milestones for yourself. So this helps you to strengthen your mind, in the sense that you are actually committing to something, right? This is just a look at my calendar. Don't get, it's actually pretty crazy, but this to me shows commitment, and this is something that we all can do. We can set, a calendar, and actually booking our time to show to actually do the things that we want to do, and that's the afternoon. Another way to strengthen your mind is just books, right? So I have tons of books. If you guys aren't reading, if you guys don't have a book list, I highly recommend that you go get one. This is Goodreads. There are plenty of reading lists out there, but create your own book list and set a challenge for yourself to read one book a week. That's crazy, I know, but there's resources like Audible and other things where learning has become accelerated. And so we should focus, and we should try to spend that time to accelerate and improve our minds through reading. I have a site. It's on richiesanchez.com. I have a list of books that I have been curating based off of recommendations from successful leaders. So highly recommend you check those out. And then also the mindset coaching. So this is actually a program that I'm in right now. It's a part of Impact Theory University. It's basically taught by Tom Bilyeu, who is the co-founder of Quest Nutrition, and also the co-founder of Impact Theory. He offers educational coaching and courses through this program, and I highly recommend you guys try it out if you are serious about also strengthening your mind. Learn by doing. So here's the guy, Jim Quick, who I mentioned earlier. I love this video. Please take the time. It's about 30 minutes, but he talks, essentially the essence is that in order to learn how to learn, you actually have to do a couple things. You have to, he uses the phrase be fast, right? So you have to believe. So that's the B, right? You have to believe that you can do it. You have to exercise your brain. You have to exercise through moving, right? Or exercising the mind with some sort of stimulation. You have to forget. You have to be a child, kind of be curious again and be open, right? Your mind is like a parachute and only opens if it's open. A is active. So learning is not a spectator sport. It actually, you have to create, and you have to co-create or be active in that learning. S is for state. So emphasizing the state that you're in, even just the way you sit up, right? Your posture, your chest up. And then T for teach, teaching others. And that's one of the reasons why I am actually here teaching you all, because I want to reinforce the things that I've learned. Finally, turning actions into habits. So another really great quote. Jim Quick has a bunch of great quotes, by the way. So if you get hooked onto him, you'll hear all of these. But he mentions this one thing, that the life of your dreams lies in your daily routines, and this is something that I've held dearly every every day. Actually, I do this is meditation. This is the Mind Valley 6 phase meditation, and it really walks you through. It's a guided meditation on how to find balance with yourself. It's part of my morning routine. Another great thing that I like to introduce to help bring out that superpower is Muse. Is actually, this is a product that allows you to get feedback. It's almost, if you think about it, a mind reading device, which uses your brain waves and EEGs to give you feedback on how your meditation is doing. So I highly recommend this as well if you're really trying to get into meditation but just don't know how and don't know if you're doing it right. Um, so that's strengthening your mind. All right. The last really big thing you have to do in unlocking your superhero self is to grow by serving others. And I love this because it truly is important. You have to assemble your Avengers level peer group. I didn't mention this in the beginning, but it was mentioned by my intro. I worked at Disney as a product manager. I was there for 3 years, and I absolutely loved every single second of it. Especially when I was able to go to Marvel screenings and things like that. I'm a huge Marvels fan, and so I truly believe that one of the reasons why there's such great superheroes out there is because there are other superheroes that they've been able to learn from. And so if you're able to assemble this Avenger level peer group, which I consider these my mentors, my superhero mentors, right? The people that I described, right? And throughout the presentation, from the podcast, from the books, you will instantly start to model yourself after them and start to inherit some of those superhero abilities. Now the last piece here is about serving and serving others. I have a funny story. So there was a individual, Pat Flynn. I'm not sure if you guys know him. He's a entrepreneur, very successful entrepreneur of smart passive income. And I really wanted to meet him. He was a part of my superhero list of people that I wanted to meet. And so I thought, how can I do this? How can I achieve this? And I saw that on his Wikipedia or his Google search, his Wikipedia entry was just wrong and not working. So I reached out to him. I said, hey, I can fix this for you. Um, and long story short, what started off as just a quick way of helping someone turned out into me learning more about Wikipedia. I had no idea how to make edits to Wikipedia. Learning more about Upwork, I actually got someone on Upwork to help create his Wikipedia page, right? Again, going and knowing the value of my time and knowing that there is people there that know this stuff much better, much faster, and much cheaper than my time, to the point where he was able to get his Wikipedia entry updated, and I was actually able to establish a friendship now with Pat Flynn, right? Not possible before had I not reached out, right, or served him and helping him. So it's crazy to think that just by doing these small actions, which may seem pretty big, they can be big, but you can tackle them and serve using your own innate skills that you have, right? A great way actually for anyone who's looking to get into a job and wants to figure out how to be different, right? I recommend you guys try a product audit. And what this is basically let's say you're trying to work for a company and everyone's submitting the resumes and you need to stand out, right? So what do? You audit their site, you audit their app the best that you can do. And this is a template that I put together that actually goes through all the different steps that we as product managers actually do need to assess all the time. It's just that these people who may be very busy, they don't see those things, right? So if you're able to identify all the problem points and actually have solutions and bring it into your interview, bring it into whatever, you put it down and you show them you have the skills, they will choose you over anyone else, guaranteed. Okay, finally, leave your impact. And I want to end with this. So the reason why I'm so committed and wanting to share this information is that I actually went through a situation where I figured I didn't know what my impact was in the world, right? So I was at Disney, I was doing great work, I was a manager, But I just felt like I needed to I needed to serve and leave an impact on more people. And so, I think the question you have to ask yourself is, what is your impact, right? What is the impact you want to leave? And also figure out what is the animus, who is the person you're really trying to address, or what is the wrong that you're trying to right. And so when you have that, you're able to actually make decisions. It chooses the friends for you. It alters the decisions that you make so that you are so focused on that impact. Because I feel like even in nowadays, we as product managers or people who are building great things, we lose our sense of purpose, and we just join a job because that's what society tells you. No, I think you actually really have to choose something that you are truly passionate about, and also it speaks to your purpose. And so that's the reason why I actually, one of the reasons why I left Disney was nothing against Disney at all, and why I'm here at InStride. It's purely because I want to help more people. And through InStride, we are essentially, like my intro was saying, trying to reinvent the way companies and the CEOs offer educational opportunities to their employees through a marketplace experience that allows the universities to offer their programs in an easy way, right? And so the last thing I want to end is a story. So I actually got a chance to attend the Avengers Endgame premiere at the LA Convention Center. It was an opportunity that my wife was able to, she got it through her connections at Disney, and we actually met Joe Russo himself. It was truly an incredible experience. But as we're watching this story, essentially this movie, I couldn't help but, obviously we're surrounded by super celebrities and everyone, all the actual superheroes, right? And I'm not going to ruin the movie, but there's a moment in the movie where all of them come together, right? I mean, it's the Avengers, right? They're all together. And when I watched that point in the movie, and I think you all know which it is, there was this feeling and this question that I asked myself, and that was, what if we as people here on earth, we all realize what our superhero strengths were, right? We all realize that we all have these superhero powers. We're all superheroes, and we all can come together, right? How great of a world would this actually be, right? And so it was at that point where I really truly found my purpose and the impact that I wanted to leave on people. And so with that, I'm be happy to take questions. I know we only have a few minutes, but you can feel free to. And this is actually, sorry, I forgot to share this. So this is the proof that I met Joe Russo. That's my wife on the left, at the convention center. But if we don't have time for questions, we can definitely, you guys can feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and Twitter. And I'm actually going to have a program. If you like the information and you want to dive deeper, I'm going to have a program that kind of helps and goes step by step with a lot of these a bit more. So with that, I want to say thank you, and I'll open it up for questions.
Thanks so much, Rich. That was very inspiring. Yeah, so we have time for just one or two questions. So we love to ask this question to different PMs. What would you do in your first 30 days as a PM? And related to your presentation, what would you do to kind of find peace or find time to, meditate and find balance in like the first crazy 30 days of being a PM?
Sure. Yeah, so I would say, I mean, the first 30 days for me, I always break it down to the 4 Ps that I need to establish. And that is, I need to know who the people are, people being, the people that I'm working with, the actual people that the products will be used by, and any of the partners. So I focus on people, then I focus on product, right? Obviously knowing what is the product that I'm going to be building or improving or optimizing, right? Knowing it inside and out really, really well. The third P is process, right? So knowing how do people get stuff done at the company, right? What is the process? Where are there the efficiencies that need to be made? And then the fourth is, I'm blanking on the fourth. Oh my gosh. people, product, process. Oh, and priorities. Yes, it's super important to know the priorities of everyone in the company, of what you're going to do, because if you don't have those priorities in place, the goals, the metrics, then you're just going to be floating in space. And then I think the second question was about meditation. How do I find time for that?
Yeah. What kind of advice would you give? But I think, yeah.
Oh, okay. The only advice I would say is get the the 6 phase meditation, and then feel free to ask questions after I can answer more about meditation. I love meditation.
Awesome. Well, that's all we have time for today, but thank you so much, Rich. That was an awesome presentation. And thanks to everyone who joined us here at the Product School. So before we leave, remember that we do offer weekly online and on-site events in more than 100 cities. Also, you can find us on social media at Product School, and be sure to keep up with the latest product management content at our blog, which is productschool.com/blog. Thank you all so much for joining us, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Rich. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you all next week.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks so much.